Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to teach you how to jerk more weight. Hold. Hold. This is Mike Dewar here, 5th place Masters Worlds in Olympic weightlifting. In this video, we're going to teach you all about my top 4 steps to jerk more weight. In the power jerk, you can also use this in the split jerk. So whether you're a beginner weightlifter, beginner CrossFitter, or somebody just looking to lift hundreds of pounds overhead, stay tuned. But first, make sure you guys subscribe down below, and let's get into it. So the first step here that we want to talk about with the tip here is our setup. And there's a lot of things that go along with the setup. We're going to start off with the grip. So grip width can vary. Typically, you want to go outside shoulder width, depending on your shoulders. Ideally, we're coming underneath. We're either keeping our hook grip or a full grip. We just don't want to be thumbless on top. So coming under, want to think about pushing our shoulders up through the bar. So if I'm wider, wherever it's at, the biggest thing is we don't want it on our collarbone. We want to push our front delts up through the bar. Now my positioning with my elbows, we can have the elbows down, we can have them up. The biggest thing is if I drop it down, you can see now it's on my collarbone. So I got to keep my shoulder pushed up under. Some people want to go up here. That's fine too, but I find the lower I can keep them while staying on my front delts. So we're going to take up and under, up on the front delts. We just have to get our elbows high enough where we achieve our position. So if I'm here and I have a good rack position where I'm not having it sit on my clavicles, it's supported on my front delts, great. If we're up here, that's great too. I find typically keeping them lower for me is better. Let's get you set up here. We're no suicide grips on this. We're having our wrap thumb. It is going to force a little bit more flexibility up the back. So you can see he's got it up on his shoulders, not on his clavicle. Another big key here is to make sure our elbows are not caved in. So pull your elbows apart. All right. And this is something that we see a lot with beginners, is just the lack of mobility in that position. So this is something that will come over time. I know it's frustrating. So your elbows are always going to be, they should never really fall inside the shoulders, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of challenging. From a non-weightlifter perspective, it's going to feel really awkward. But having this collapse inwards, yep, and then kind of pushing up and out. But again, this is not a front rack mobility video, so that's probably good where we're at. So now he's holding that position. He should feel pretty tall. He's got good feet positioning there. Pull your hips back slightly, Kev. That's going to be that position. See how now you're active in that position versus the other one you were kind of collapsed through. Let's walk it on in. So just that little tweak, right? I know it probably feels a little awkward there, but the biggest thing with your hip shift, so having your hips there versus pushing back a little bit, and now get your chest up and head up. That's going to be that slight difference there. You have everything in line, ankle, knee, hip, ribs, shoulders, everything's in line. So that's going to be that setup position. The second part is going to be the dip phase of the jerk. So the dip phase is when we're here, we're dipping down. Now when we're doing that, we want to make sure that we don't lose the position. So if we're in this good position at the bottom of our dip, we should have no collapse whatsoever, no drifting forward. As we dip, we're under control. So sometimes warming up, just feeling these positions, forcing my chest to stay tall. This is going to be a huge deal breaker when people come down and they collapse because that bar shifts forward. Make sure your hips stay back as you dip. Right there. Good. Maybe even pause at the bottom. Hold. There you go. Don't have to dip that much. It's about a 4 to 6 inch dip for most people. Good. Chin up. Elbows up. Okay, so all I want to do this one more time before we move on to the third step. But I want you to envision yourself when you're doing this. Think about staying against the wall. If you were standing there and I had a wall along your back where your butt, your upper back, and your head all stay on that wall and you descend downwards, let's try that. He's having his butt over right there. You can see how vertical he is. And I often think about when I was taught this, my old weightlifting coach actually grabbed my chin and grabbed my chest, and as I dipped, he pulled my chin and elbows up. So Kevin, elbows up, chin up as you do this. Don't look down, look up. You see he's got a slight drift forward. So you want to think about staying tall. That's better. Good. All right, let's rack that up there. Good. You feel that difference sometimes where you're drifting forward versus staying back?
Yeah. It's starting to click.
So we've now been through the setup, which is number one. Number two is understanding the dip and just how we want to maintain that good setup. Number three is the dip and drive, the sequence of going down and exploding up through. The dip and drive sequence is something that requires not only good positioning, strength to maintain that positioning on the way down, but lastly, timing and understanding how quick we need to dip and how quick we need to change the direction. So when we do this, a lot of times people will think that they want to get ready and they just want to collapse down real quick. Well, understand the weight on the bar is accelerating downwards at the rate of gravity. So there's only a constant speed. And once you move faster than that speed, you'll actually separate yourself from the bar. When that happens, the bar's off you. You then come back up through the bar and you get smacked with the bar. And that's typically when people will feel like they'll get rattled. They'll feel like the bar might crash on their windpipe. So typically that's an issue with your timing on how you're dipping and responding to that dip through the drive. When I'm doing, 100 pounds or 350 pounds, my timing is always the same where I'm smoothing my dip and then I'm focusing on driving through the bar and changing the direction very rapidly to create that whip and oscillation on the bar. Typically, people will want to go like this and watch how the bar comes off my body. See how it hit me there? And it's dropping me. We don't want to do that. We want to stay with the bar. We want to come down, and we want to drive under. Again, I'm down smooth, aggressive on the way up. Kev, I want you to do some fast dips here, and I want you to try and feel that bar how it jumps on your shoulders on and off. Faster. You feel that right there?
Yep.
That's not what we want. Good rocker real quick. And I know you're showing me that's a good example of not what we want. So good job on that. Now what I want you to do is when we come down next time, I want you to dip under control. It does not need to be slow motion, but remember that bar can only move at a constant speed down. So I want you to just bring that bar along with you and then drive aggressively through the bar. So dip smooth, and then the change of direction is where all the power comes from. That's better. One more. That's better. So the last step here, the tip, is going to be understanding your receiving position. So a lot of times when people jerk, right, we've worked on our setup, number one. We've worked on maintaining that setup in the dip, number two. We've even worked on the dip and drive and understanding that sequence. That's number three. So now that you've driven the bar overhead, a lot of times people kind of get there and they will fall apart, or they just kind of hope for the best. And we're missing out on a key aspect, which is understanding how to receive that bar properly so it's in the right spot and securely. So what I like to have people do is when we jerk, a lot of times people come through, they stand up real quick. They give themselves no margin for error and no wiggle room. And a lot of times with heavy weights, it's not going to be right through there. It's going to take some time. You're going to, boom, be here, stabilize it, and stand on up. My heaviest jerk, I mean, I was here and I had to hold, and I had to get myself through. There's no way I'm making that lift if I'm doing quick splits or quick recoveries. So the biggest thing here is be comfortable under the bar. So when we do the jerk, the bar stays and it should be behind our head. And we're hold, find that position just like you do a pause squat, and then we stand back up. And you'll know real quick of whether your hips are trying to scoot back and forth, if you're trying to pull your head back. So don't rush out of that position. Hold, stand back up. Obviously that's very pronounced, but it could even be just something like that. If you guys want to stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to share with you a little workout program you can do to build your jerk. It's about a 2-day a week. I'll kind of lay out some things you can work on, but I'll go over that at the end of the video. I'm just going to work up today, some quick little doubles. Hope you guys found that video helpful. Make sure you guys comment below with any questions you have. And then, as promised, a quick little 2-day-a-week workout you can do. It's going to entail both doing the power jerk on both days. Want to stick in the rep range of 2 to 3 reps, as you saw here in some of these. Higher rep training on this, we just kind of get tired in our position. So we want to try and do about 3 to 5 sets of 2 to 3 reps per movement. Now, when we're doing that, the first day you're going to have it be from the front rack. The second day of the week, you're going to have it from the back rack. And the only difference is where that bar is going to be. We're going to use the front rack because obviously that's as you're jerking. That's what the comp lift is. We're going to use the back rack one because that's going to, A, teach you to stay more upright with your upper back as you dip. B, it's going to help you reinforce that good positioning overhead. And lastly, C, it's going to help you use your legs more in the drive. So try that out. Comment below. Let me know what you think or what you're struggling with.